What's in a symbol? That's a big question in the minds of the characters in My Hero Academia. All Might has to step down as being the number one hero, and Endeavor steps up to take his place, only to realize that he doesn't really understand what it means to be the number one hero. He never really understood what it meant to be a symbol. Before him, All Might was this towering symbol of peace. But Endeavor quickly learns that he can't really be that, so instead he becomes a different kind of symbol. On paper, these two couldn't be more different. All Might, a hero who is near perfect in every way, and who can bring peace to the minds of everyone near him with just a smile. And on the other hand, we have Endeavor, a flaming titan who strikes fear into both his enemies and his fans alike. But what do these two top-class heroes represent in the world of My Hero Academia? Today, we're going to be looking at each of these heroes, as well as how Horikoshi uses parallel storytelling to have both All Might and Endeavor show us the state of their world. If you love My Hero Academia and other anime content in general, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos. But for now, let's dive in. First off, in my mind, I think Endeavor is just flat out a more interesting character all around, so I wanted to get my bias out there right away. That being said, let's start this off with All Might. Unlike Midoriya, All Might was able to harness and fully use the abilities involved in One for All just about immediately. He had incredible speed, power, and durability, and basically this guy was a fully developed Superman almost right out the bat. When he showed up, citizens knew that everything would be okay because he was there. He was a hero who carried the whole world on his shoulders. If All Might was there, then it didn't matter. No villain could ever really pose a massive threat. Now, All Might does say in the series that there are people that he can't save, but the only caveat to that is that he can't save them because he can't be everywhere in the world at once. Which, I mean, when it comes to having a weakness, I guess that counts as one. You can't do something if you're not there, obviously. At the end of the day, All Might was nearly infallible, and as a result, the entire population knew that they were safe.
Because I am here!
Something we very much see shift when Endeavor steps up. All Might's whole thing was being a hero that could keep the world calm and go through anything with a smile to really preserve the idea that things would be okay. On the other hand, Endeavor's goal was to pass All Might. That's it. It's kind of like the Scar thing in The Lion King. He wanted to be king, but once he got there, he doesn't really know what to do about it, or how to be king. You know, the whole savannah goes into famine. But either way, he quickly realizes that he's not exactly cut out to be the kind of hero that All Might was, and he wouldn't be able to do it on his own. This massive gap between their power was just something that was too big for him to overcome. And a big part of that is that while Endeavor's quirk is insanely powerful, it can cause his body to overheat with extended use and could leave him in a very bad situation. This was incredibly frustrating for him, and as a result he switched gears and tried to have a child who had a perfect version of his own quirk. He married a woman with an ice quirk and basically kept pumping out kids until he had Shoto, who had a perfect balance of ice and fire. A quirk that could help him balance the downside of both elements, making sure that he couldn't overheat, and making sure that he wouldn't freeze himself to death. And I could go on and on about the child abuse, spouse abuse, and obvious parallel to creating Nomus, but that's all been talked about to death, and I want to focus more about All Might and Endeavor specifically in this video. So in terms of quirk, All Might's all-for-one quirk makes him all-powerful, and he mastered it with little to no effort. Endeavor's quirk is one that's amazingly powerful as well, but it overheats his body, and let's be honest, it's a kinda scary ability. Yeah, he's using it for good, but he is still a walking inferno, and that makes people a little bit uneasy sometimes. Even just look at the designs of these characters. All Might looks like this golden age Marvel superhero, while Endeavor looks more like a villain might. In fact, he was even kind of painted like a villain in the first few seasons. He has these dark colors, he spouts flames constantly, and he has this evil looking face and scowl all the time. And that kind of matches how the public sees them. In the most recent season finale for My Hero Academia, we saw a repeat of an old scene. We saw a repeat of a flashback we saw before. All Might saves someone and is looking forward, and behind him is this giant chasm with the rest of the world behind him. Then we see Endeavor collapse to his knees, and that's where we saw the flashback end the first time we saw it. But this time we see it from Hawk's perspective. And while it does look like Endeavor's giving up the first time we see this, he begins grabbing scraps of wood and rock to make a bridge and create his own path. And yes, it is depressing and flimsy, and it will never work. But he's trying. And he never stops trying or putting in the work. And this idea of having to put in work is the big difference between the two heroes. Like I said, All Might makes people feel safe and like nothing can go wrong. But with Endeavor as the new symbol, the world feels less secure and has to put work in to keep society going. There have always been villains who want to destroy the world or tear down society, but All Might allowed the world to just kind of ignore that. It would always be okay. With Endeavor, though, they need to actually accept that there is danger in reality, and they need to work together. They can't just keep living in a fantasy because one hero is around. And this can also be seen in each of their major fights. All Might versus All For One, and Endeavor versus the Talking Nomu. All For One is this massive and nearly all-powerful villain, and All Might is extremely weakened compared to his past. Despite this, he's still able to win the fight on his own, even rejecting Gran Torino's help. On the other hand, the Talking Nomu fight saw Endeavor pushed to a similar point of exhaustion and left on death's door. His body was so overheated that he couldn't move, and that was at the halfway point of the fight. Yes, in terms of actual damage to the Nomu, Endeavor did it all. However, he was not the only one fighting. Hawks had to save all the people in the collapsing building, and he had to use his feathers to prop up and push Endeavor forward, and eventually help bring Endeavor up high enough that he could use his finishing attack. Just like the society he is a symbol of, the heroes had to come together and work for this victory. These two fights are pretty parallel in a lot of interesting ways. Both All Might and Endeavor have one hero nearby. All Might doesn't need Gran Torino's help, while Endeavor did need Hawks's. All Might's fight has one person trapped in a collapsed building behind him, while Endeavor has over 70 that need to be rescued from a collapsing building, meaning more people are in danger in Endeavor's world. And of course, Hawks is the one who actually saved most of those people, meaning that even though more people are in danger, Endeavor can't really be the one who has to save all of them. He's not All Might. Both fights also have media coverage, with the news crew saying that All Might will win and being worried about him, while saying there is no symbol as soon as Endeavor falls behind in the fight. The crowd watching All Might is totally calm and secure, while the crowd for Endeavor's fight is panicked and closer to the fight being in more danger. Both fights are watched by their heirs, but in Shoto's case, you can see how conflicted he is. He both hates his father, but also doesn't want him to die. And a lot of people in the society are kind of in the same space. They're afraid of Endeavor, but they rely on him. On the other side, when All Might falls behind, both Deku and Bakugo yell for All Might to win. While in Endeavor's fight, this Natsu-looking boy had to yell for the media to shut up and to realize that Endeavor is still fighting and needs their support. Each fight comes to a close with a massive final attack from both heroes, followed by a raised fist in the air to show that they won, they are victorious, while hanging their head down low in exhaustion. All Might follows this by pointing to the camera and saying, "Now it's your turn," while Endeavor never looks up. Instead, we hear the reporters say that this is a sign of a new start, while Deku says that the ones who will need to carry on All Might's will is us. Even if Endeavor has won this fight, everyone realizes that they need to put in the work, unlike how the world was with All Might as the number one hero. And it's kind of a similar feeling as after the All For One fight, as everyone feels like they need to do more, but I think that in the first case, they were doing more out of motivation, and in this case, they're kind of doing it out of desperation. The mirroring of these fights is absolutely gorgeous and done in such an amazing way. But most importantly, it shows the difference of how these heroes impact their world, and how the world sees them. Clearly with All Might, people could basically live happy and carefree lives, but with Endeavor, there will always be danger, but if they pull together, they can overcome it. But if you want the simplest answer for what it means that Endeavor is the #1 hero, just look at his name. The word endeavor means to try hard to achieve a goal, and in most cases that comes with a struggle. The world of My Hero Academia will have to endeavor to make a new society without All Might standing at the center of it. But those are my thoughts on All Might and Endeavor, and I still do definitely enjoy Endeavor more as a character. I kind of like to think of them as the Matrix's blue and red pill for the My Hero Academia universe, with All Might being this blue pill where you don't have to focus on reality because you're safe, and with Endeavor being the red pill where you have to actually put in work and understand that you are in danger sometimes. But which hero do you guys like better, and what do you think of the last season of My Hero Academia? Let me know in the comments down below, and please remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell if you did enjoy this video. You can also follow me on Twitter at ExcellianYT, but for now, I have been Excellion. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember to stay excellent.